Good morning,
Oh,
everybody. It is Chiquiruca time. It is Saturday today, October the 4th. It's actually my mom's birthday today, so happy birthday, Emma.
happy
Happy
birthday, Guille.
birthday. Thank you. It's been her birthday every day since September the 19th. Ugh. Anyway,
Wait a minute. Explain that. I remember saying
because
happy birthday to your mom a
yeah,
while ago.
because she was born in a house in un ranchito where there was no doctor, there was just a midwife, and the government did not record
It's
you
the
in until
registration part.
the registration. So when you register your babies after they're born, they don't give you the date that you say that they were born. They give you the date that you showed up with your baby to prove that there's actually a human being.
Interesting.
And that's why she's got two birthdays. I didn't know that till later in life.
So her birthday is actually September 19th, but she wasn't registered until October.
Today.
What day is
For
today?
yeah, until today. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
crazy. My grandma was the same way. She was
there's a
born, I
lot
think,
of
June 24th, but she wasn't registered till the 27th. So she always celebrated the June 24th and June 27th.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of Mexicans or even people here. I think I heard about somebody in Texas too, or a couple of people in Texas before or at the time that Mexico was being integrated. Like a lot of grandparents had two birthdays too. So
Yeah.
Well, I have a coworker who's Cambodian who also experienced that. So her birthday technically is on the 26th of September, but I guess she didn't get registered until the 29th. So she says that's her like fake birthday.
see,
Yeah.
so there's
So
a lot of reasons for that.
different countries.
Anyway, there's a lot to talk about, a lot to cover today. We are talking about neurospicy children. And we wanted to share our stories with the people that we have in our lives, our children that do have ADHD, ADD, and on the spectrum and more. And so we wanted to start off with Jen and talk about and let her share her experience, and we'll go from there. Jen?
Yeah, so thank you. Good morning. Wow. So just a little bit of a background. So my kiddo, who is now 19, she was adopted. We adopted her when she was 13 months. So I want to say around age 4-ish, maybe 5, I started to see some kind of behaviors that for me were kind of normal. I mean, she was bouncing off the walls, but like I just thought she was being a kid. But it got to the point where like the preschools were like, wait, like she's a little out of control. You probably should get her tested, so on and so on. And obviously this is all very new territory for me because I mean, when I was growing up, nobody ever talked about ADD, ADHD. Like that didn't exist, right? So anyway, I still kind of ignored it at preschool because I thought she's still very young and like whatever. But then when she got into kindergarten, it was very evident that like, okay, wait, maybe there is something else going on because she just could not keep her attention. And yeah, she was all over the place. So they put her in like a regular classroom for kindergarten, and it just was like every day it was, I needed to come get her because she's jumping off the walls. I mean, she's just doing all kinds of stuff, right? So fine. So I get her tested and they say, yes, she's got ADHD. Okay, so what does that mean? Again, I'm all new to this world and I have no idea what it is, what to expect, how to navigate it, and so on. So I'm learning as I go along. Thank God, I will say, and I'll share my nightmare experiences as well. But thank God in this kindergarten classroom, they wound up switching her over to like a special needs class. So I know that at least for me, special needs can be a little kind of like, I don't know, maybe people feel a little intimidated or embarrassed or whatever. But there's so many different definitions for a kid that's going to need to be in a specialized classroom. So for her, it was just because she needed the flexibility to be able to get up. She needed the flexibility to roam around. She needed to be able to not be so confined to just the classroom and be also in a classroom with like 30 plus kids where that was a lot of stimulation for her and she just didn't do well. So they move her over to this classroom. And I have to tell you guys, this kindergarten teacher, even to this day, okay, so my kid's 19, I still talk to her because she was the most amazing teacher. That was not always the case. I'll get to that later. But in my experience, educators will say, not all, but again, I'm just speaking from my experience, that they have all this, training and they know how to deal with your kid. It's not always the case. So, but in this situation, in this grade, this woman was amazing. She had like the most patience. She actually took extra training to deal with, kiddos on the spectrum, which a lot of these teachers, I don't know that they do. I don't think that they do. But in this case, she did. So it was awesome. So then we talked about medication, right? Because that was also another like, oh my God, she's too young. She's only now at this point 6, I want to say 6-ish, 7. And, but for me, it was a decision that I wanted her to be successful. I didn't want her to be the center of attention in the classroom where she's being like the negative center of attention, right? So she's the one that's always disruptive. She's the one that kids are like, oh my God, that kind of thing. So, I mean, ultimately, I after meeting with specialists and all of that stuff, getting her assessed and things like that, it was like, okay, well, let's try it. And, for her, the medication worked. It was awesome. Like, it helped her to concentrate when she needed to. It helped the hyper, activity to kind of lessen, especially in the classroom. So it really worked well for her. As she got older, so now fast forward, we're in the 4th grade, she was able to stay in that one classroom with that one teacher from kindergarten up to 3rd grade, thankfully. So she really set her up for like great success. But unfortunately, as I said, there's not every educator is that way. So now we're going into the 4th grade and they do a whole like switch of teachers, new principal, and all of those things. So being the OCD mom that I am and proactive, I requested to meet with the new teacher because, I want to collaborate. I want to make sure that we're partners. Hey, this is what works for us. I know you're new. I just want you to know that this is what's been going on, blah, blah, blah. So I request a meeting during the summertime, get the meeting. And this woman was very, I want to say she just seemed very, just defensive already. Like her whole demeanor was like almost as if I was coming at her, trying to tell her how to do her job, which I honestly was not. I just wanted to let her know what worked for my kid. And also I was so open to hearing from her and her experience, what recommendations she might have. So I already had like a really bad vibe of her. She was like, oh, I know how to deal with these kids. I'm from East LA and blah, blah, blah. And so for me, well, I'm from East LA too, but like, I felt like, well, what the fuck does that mean? Like,
oh, okay. Shit.
Right. Like
that qualifies us all to
right. Like, oh, I'm from East LA. Like, okay. Anyway, so, the school year started and I kid you not, I don't even think we were a month in and it was already like call after call, you got to come pick up your kid. She's not this, she's doing that. She's jumping up the walls. She's throwing chairs. She's da da da. So, I mean, obviously that's a lot of stress, not just on her, my kid, but also on me. I mean, I work full time and having to get off work. Mind you, I'm married at the time, but not so much because the only one they call
you're
is
single
mom,
parent,
right? So then that kind of added to, anyway, it's such a hot fucking mess. Anyway, so I, I'm now having to deal with this. So one day, her dad drops her off at school and he calls me and says, hey, they're going to suspend her. And I'm like, wait, what? So I immediately get on the phone. I call the principal and I'm like, hey, what's going on? So I get no response. And I said, you know what? It's picture day. So leave her, let her take her pictures and I'm going to take care of this. Like, I want to know what's going on. Mind you, I had never heard of, there's no reason that my kid should have been suspended. There should have been some call or something, right? That's usually what you do.
Yeah.
So
you would think, yeah. And so not until later that day, the principal calls me back and she's like, oh, like, we were thinking of suspending your daughter. Okay. So why?
Thinking.
Right. Thinking. So I said, okay, well, why? And she said, oh, because, your daughter assaulted the teacher. I said, wait, what? And I'm like, this is the first that I'm hearing of this. And why would you, in passing, tell her dad when he's in the carpool line dropping her off that, oh, by the way, she's probably going to get suspended? I'm like, I need you to give me some more information here.
Context.
So at the time she didn't really want to get into conversation. And I'm like, that's fine. So I requested a meeting, like ASAP. I want to meet with the teacher. I want to meet with the principal. I want to meet with everybody involved. So, let me back up a little bit. So my kid, because of her diagnosis, she was put on what they call an IEP. So it's like an individualized education plan. And that allowed her like the special accommodations that she needed, right? So when you're on an IEP, there's the school psychologist is like part of your team. There's like somebody from, the what do you call it? The board.
Yeah, the student board.
Yeah, okay. And, the principal, the teacher, and so on. So I'm like,
I think the district also.
Yeah,
someone from the district.
I was like blanking on the stupid ass name. Anyway, so I'm like, I want to know what's going on. Like, how do you tell me or tell her dad in passing, like she's about to get suspended and like you guys have not said anything to us? So we get this meeting. I think it's like the day after, a couple days later, and the teacher's not there. Conveniently, the teacher has missed this meeting because of some training. So I go in there and I'm like, hey, listen, like, I just want to know what's going on. Like, I don't understand this. So the principal goes on to say that, she did share that she wasn't there, but what was said to her is that my kid had hit the teacher. So I said, well, when exactly did this happen? So she gives me the date, a few days prior to now us meeting. And I'm like, okay. I said, so, with all due respect, I'm like, I'm just trying to understand. I'm all about accountability, but I'm also about fairness and also, being the voice for my kid. Like, I just want to understand what's going on here. So I said to her, I said, I have no experience in what you do. But for me, if a kiddo or anybody for that matter assaults the teacher, I said that for me would warrant an immediate phone call to the parents. I go, that would warrant like an immediate, you got to get down to the school because this is the situation. I said, and I didn't have that. So that's why I'm so confused at this point as to why you're now saying in passing, by the way, we might be, suspending your kid. So the expression on her face was that I guess she didn't appreciate, I guess that I was calling her out. But like, I was just trying to get to the bottom of the whole situation. But she took it in another direction. And so I was now like the parent problem or the problem parent. So, I said, like, why isn't the teacher here? Like, I would like to hear from her exactly what happened since the supposed assault happened to her directly. She's the one that's dealing with my kid. So, like, I want to know from her. Oh, well, she's in a training today and so on. But, for now, we're just going to have to suspend your kid. And, we were about to call the police. I'm like, wait a minute, the police? Like, are you kidding? She's in the 4th grade. Like, are you serious? So anyway, that experience left me very, I totally lost trust in the system of the school. I totally lost, I didn't feel comfortable. And obviously, so now I'm now, trying to learn how to be a voice for my kid and advocate. At the same time, like I said, I try to be fair. And so every single day, so I had requested for them to put her on like I forget, there's like a word for it, but it was like a behavioral chart daily. So every day I wanted to know how she was in the classroom. So you send me that report every single day. And I felt like, okay, this would help me to understand her behaviors from the teacher's perspective. And also if there was anything of concern, like to deal with that and have a conversation with my kid. So that lasted, I don't know, probably for another month or so. And I had it. I mean, my kid would tell me every single day the teacher didn't like her. She was crying, like almost every single day from that point on. It just seemed like she was a bigger issue. And I just felt so unsupported. So remember I said from kindergarten up until 3rd grade, I had the most amazing experience with the teacher. I had the most amazing support with like not only the teacher, but like the principal, the whole entire IEP team. So then this new group comes from East LA, apparently the teacher, and then I get all this, BS. So I pulled my kid out. I'm like, I don't like, and again, I'm still learning as I go along because I'm still not familiar with what all this means. I get she's got this now ADHD, but I don't know how to navigate it either, right? So I'm just trying to do what I feel is right in the moment. And I just didn't want to keep getting the phone calls of her crying in the classroom and her being so unhappy. So it just happened that, we were in a position to keep her home and do like homeschooling, and that's kind of what we started to do. So, fast forward, now it's, she did that from, I think, the remainder of fourth grade up until, gosh, I want to say probably I think until middle school, she was, homeschooled. So for a few years, and it worked. I mean, she was in her own like environment. Obviously there's no big stimulation with like a lot of noise. There's the classroom was non-existent. She didn't have a lot of kids around her, so that helped her. But then she started to develop different kinds of behaviors at home. So again, trying to navigate and learn as I go. I mean, the shit was kind of stressful. So, and then to also, I completely, I guess in a sense, shut down from really trusting any sort of school support because that whole experience just left me pretty shook. I just was like, you know what, F y'all, and like, I'm going to have to figure this out on my own. So I wound up having to hire like she's like an education advocate. And let me just tell you, and I'll share those resources later, but this woman, oh my God, she was like God sent. To know that there are services out there and there are people that will freaking fight for you up like against the school and that know the education system so well, it was just, I mean, worth every freaking dime that was spent because I was pretty much alone trying to figure out how to protect my kid, how to, ensure that she's getting the right education that she needs, but not like having this really horrible experience. And I think also along the way, I learned that, number one, I felt in the beginning that, like I remember a teacher or someone's telling me something that, oh, your kid doesn't need that. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then I don't know if that weighs into, like that mentality weighs into just because I'm a minority. So I feel like maybe less than in the moment. I don't know. But I learned along the way that no, like it doesn't matter. Like if your kid needs something, we need to know that it's okay to have a voice. They depend on us. They rely on us. And so it's even more, like of an important responsibility on our part to step up and to learn how to advocate and not be intimidated by the educators because they have these fancy titles or because, they look a certain kind of way. They just don't want to help your kid. That's the bottom line. At least that was my experience.
Yeah. And more times than not, your intuition as a parent, as a mom, is more right than it is
exactly.
wrong. A lot of the
totally.
times.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, I did learn a lot with this advocate person that I hired. And like I said, had it not been for her, like I don't know what I would have been able to kind of really figure out for my kid. I mean, I remember spending countless hours on the computer just trying to figure it out. Like, okay, they would say this, so let me figure it out. Because there were some behaviors that she would show at home, but then they were different with the school, and it was always like vice versa. So I was just trying to figure it out. Having just really candid conversations with her as she was getting older, like, hey, what are you feeling? Like, what's going on? And, sitting in her therapy sessions with her, like, just trying to figure it out. But at the end of the day, I really learned that, the education system is not really, at least again, in my experience, it wasn't as supportive as I always thought it would be. Like, we're partners. No, not really. That's not always the case. And it was unfortunate, Yeah. Yeah.
I think it totally depends on the school.
And I think
And I'll
yeah.
divulge why.
And the teacher.
whether
I
they're from
think
East LA or
it
whatever.
does.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't
It
believe
just
she said
depends.
that. Like,
Oh,
what did that matter?
yep,
What? Yeah. There's no
exactly.
credibility in that. That is not a
Mhm.
So,
university.
because she's from East LA, she knows how to
She
deal with
supposed like bad
problem
kids. Right,
kids.
exactly. That's really
That's
what she
kind
was
of
trying to tell
that's
me.
kind of culturist, racist.
Right.
Like, so we're all bad
Hmm.
kids.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, Veronica
Yeah.
is definitely, but like the rest of us are pretty good.
Right. Yeah. So, that was, yeah, that was just her elementary years, middle school. I mean, it was just like probably the most challenging in terms of really being able to, have some sort of collaboration with the school.
Hmm.
And then, in the beginning, I also felt like, oh, I'm deemed now like as that problem parent. And I kind of was bugged by it because I didn't want to be that problem parent.
I
But after
relished it.
But after that, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, you know what? I'm gonna do what I need to do for my kid. So if it bothers you, that's your problem. Like, I don't,
Hmm.
I got to a point where I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I
At the
need
end of the
to
day, this is the job. This is the profession. You were going to deal with a lot of
exactly.
neurospicy kids that like
Mm-hmm.
are probably for the most part undiagnosed.
Hmm.
Right.
And it's up to
Yep.
you as a teacher to educate yourself on who might or might not be so that you can
Yeah.
address them accordingly.
Right. Right. Yep. Exactly. So, I learned along the way too that like doctors and therapists would say, well, this might be something that she outgrows, so just give her some time, so on and so on. And all the while, like, yes, to some degree that was the case, but then like we get into her teenage years, like now she's 13 and I'm like, okay, well, what the fuck? Like, if her head could spin like 360, that's how I felt because it was just like, oh my God. So, then I was faced with like some different kinds of behavioral challenges.
Hmm.
And, not to get too deep in her stuff, but like I think for her whole entire education career, like I had to learn how to navigate the school system, how to not allow these big wigs that I would have these IEP meetings with intimidate me when a lot of times it was really hard. I mean, I would get off those calls because then like COVID hit and a lot of it was through Zoom. So I would get off these calls just feeling so defeated, like so defeated. I would call Mauda. Like it got to just, it was just so overwhelming. But, like I said, I now in retrospect, like I think back and I feel like I learned a lot. I mean, and what I also learned is to want to share like this experience because I'm sure there's a lot of other people, moms, dads, whatever, that go through the same thing. And like I said, in that moment when that one person had said to me like no or something, and I just felt like, oh, okay, because that was like, you've answered, you've said what you needed to say, so there's no reason for me to argue this point or to debate about it. No, there is, because that's my kid, and like you don't know my kid as well as I do. So I think that what I learned is that we should not as parents ever feel that we can't debate or we can't question a decision, especially if it's something that you feel strongly about that your kid needs to be successful. Like they don't know your kid as well as you do, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, yeah. So now she's 19, and although she still has some challenges, I think about the doctors 13, 14, 15. I'm like, okay, when is this whole like change going to happen? Because like it hasn't happened. But, she's now 19 now and a lot more better in terms of her behaviors. And, she still has a ways to go. But like, I feel like the support and the things that I learned along the way, like, I mean, had to have contributed in some way to where she's at now. And just,
So can I
helping
ask
her.
you,
Yeah.
ballpark, how much this education advocate cost you?
So, because my experience with an adopted kid, so a couple of things. There are programs when you adopt through I'm assuming that it would be the same for different counties, but in this case for
LA
me, it was
County.
through the LA County system.
Okay.
They provide you with a lot of different resources. So there was a program that was all free. Okay. The testing for a diagnosis, that was free. Access to like psychiatrists, access to psychologists, even parent like partners, people that would just check in with you as a parent, right? Like, how are you doing, kind of thing. Parent groups, all of that was, there was a program through UCLA that they allowed you access to free of charge. And the advocate woman who I met was through this program. So while you are attending or a part of that program, it was called Ties for Adoption. I don't know if it's still called that, but that's what it was called back then. You had access to all of these resources, including this advocate woman. Mm-hmm. So when I stopped, so mind you, that's at UCLA. You physically had to go to UCLA at least once a week for the therapy or whatever. And if you didn't, then, you know, they would, in all fairness, like ask you to like get out of the program basically because spaces were limited and they had tons of families that were trying to get into this program and so on. So it just, I just couldn't do it because of the distance from where I was living, you know, having to go all the way to West LA. Like it was just a lot. So we stopped going. So I continued to utilize the advocate on my own. I mean, I have to say, because I don't know if it's because I had already started to use her while I was in this program, but I mean, it was not cheap. I mean, it was also, I think, money well spent, especially because I was alone trying to navigate like all of this stuff. So her fee, if I remember correctly, it was about $100 an hour. Would also, so in the beginning it was a lot because I didn't know what I was doing. So I would call her for everything. And so the system was like an attorney, right? So every time you pick up the phone, you send an email.
That's $100.
Charging you. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I can't be doing this. So I started to learn how to do a lot of the legwork on my own and then just inviting her to like the meetings. So I would invite her to the IEPs, you know, and then maybe check in with her like 10 minutes before the meeting to say, hey, this is what I have, you know, lined up. So I had to do a lot of the legwork myself, but I mean, I learned how to do that. It took time, but you know, I learned how to do all of that. And then she would just join for the big meetings. So, yeah.
Okay, so there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then that's when Tamara learned that she might have.
Yeah, I'm
So
telling you,
her
like I would call
knowledge-
her all the time, like, oh my God, help
Yeah,
me.
so she would call me about, that hers trickles down to me. Now, because she had done all this legwork, I didn't have to. She was my cheat sheet.
Piggybacked off of.
I
whatever she
did.
was. For
I
free.
did. Like for total free. So
Yeah.
with my chunk, and the reason I call my daughter chunk has nothing to do with her weight or lack thereof or whatever. My daughter gave herself that nickname when she was 5. I don't know if it was from Lilo and Stitch, just because I'm sure we get questions from people listening like, why does Maura? I'm always a problematic one here. She gave herself that. She was like 5 and she said, Mom, I'm going to be your chunk of love. So it stuck, like my chunk-a-lunk. She's my chunk-a-lunk of love. So I refer to her as Chunk all the time, even when I text these two. Like, yeah, Chunk's that's my baby. So anyway, my chunk, now that I know what I know because of Jennifer and because of the therapist and because of all of the specialists, I should have known she was on the spectrum somehow. She didn't really start talking until she was 4. She would say words here and there, but not like her sister who's older, you know. But she didn't, like, I swear, as soon as she turned 4, all of a sudden she just went crazy speaking. Like she had all this to say and couldn't say it until she was 4. I'd always get called because she talked too much in school. But she was always a smart kid. But that was the biggest thing. She couldn't stay still. She, you know, talked too much. She was distracting, you know, the other kids. And around junior.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I remember as a kid in the classroom, like I was the problem child because I would talk too much.
So was I.
Right? So like,
So was I.
Right?
So
yeah.
It was, I think that we, knowing us and knowing everything I know, we're definitely spicy too.
Yeah.
As the mothers.
Right.
We're definitely spicy too. because of what I know of what the telltale signs are. But anyhow, going back to Chunk. So that was every progress report, every parent teacher meeting. It was the same thing. She's talking too much. She's lying. She killed her dad in like 3rd grade. She told a teacher, and I didn't know this until like, I think my mom went to that parent conference for me because I couldn't get to it on time because I'm a single mom who had to do everything by myself. And I didn't find out about this till a few years ago, that she told the professor that the reason why she's so anxious and just wiggly butts was because her dad had died and she needed to make herself feel happy. Yes, Chunk did that. She would lie a lot. She would make scenarios in her head to make her feel more relevant to her friends. I don't know. She was very much pick me. I want to be like everybody else, because of the fact that she never really had friends because she was the odd man, you know. So when she got to junior high, it just kept getting worse. And that's when I started venting to Jennifer. Like, Jay and my Chunk, they're very similar, but they're also very different. Sorry, guys, hold on.
Virgos, by the way.
They're both Virgos. I think they're both Virgos. But they're very different. So I kept asking Jennifer, like, oh my God, like, does your kid do this? And she's like, oh yeah, she sure does. She's like, you know, I would vent to her about everything happening with my kid, and she'd be like, you know what, you might want to get her tested, you know, this is what you do. So she gave me the blueprint of, go to the pediatrician, you do this, you do that. Did it, went through the pediatric, pediatric development department. I don't remember. She's 20 now. So, and yeah, they did this test on her. It took a few times. It wasn't like just one test. Like, they had to, like, different people had to evaluate her. And yep, she has ADHD. Definitely has it. And it all correlated with the can't stay still, making all these scenarios in her head, the trying to fit in, the immaturity. Most kids who have ADHD or ADD tend to be socially immature a good 4 or 5 years, which made sense to me because she didn't have friends, because she was the odd one. She wasn't up there with her friends. So in junior high, finally got her diagnosed, had a meeting with the principal, the teachers, everybody, and they did a 504 plan for her. She didn't need an IEP. Oh my God, that shows you what I work in. An IEP. But she did get a 504 plan, and that worked out really well through her junior high stay. But then high school came, and her need to be socially accepted outweighed her intelligence. I don't know if I should talk about what happened with her. Should I? I'm not sure. She did something that she wasn't supposed to do, and all to fit in, and she got suspended for 3 days. I explained to them, you guys have a 504 plan. By this time, it hadn't even been the first semester of her 9th grade year. Why is she failing all these classes? Like, you guys have a 504 plan. Well, it's hard. The principal of Sure High School said to me,
He's dropping names.
I don't look. Sorry, I swore I wasn't going to cuss, but this really upset me. And this is where I understood Jennifer, because they had the 504 plan. Everybody knew that she needed special attention. And the principal at Sure High School in Montebello said, well, there's so many kids, we just can't keep track of all of them. Bitch, you have a 504 plan. You have to legally go by that. So the fact that you guys are allowing my ADHD child who has a 504 plan fail and not even call the mother or send a letter or anything saying, hey, dumb bitch, your kid's fucking failing. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I promised I wouldn't, but it angers me.
Yep.
Because my daughter's a very intelligent child. Mm-hmm. She's very intelligent, but she needed that extra guidance that she wasn't getting at Sure High School in Montebello, California. So what did I do? I did what Jennifer did. I pulled her ass out that first meeting. No, you don't need to suspend my kid. She's out of here. I'm going to sue you. I was known as the suing mom That's why when you said, oh, I was the problem mom. No, I don't. I wore it as a badge of freaking honor. I'm like, and I'm going to sue you. I didn't sue them, but I should have. Took her out of Sure High School in Montebello, California. I took her out. I'm like, Jen, what do I do with her? And Jen's like, oh, these are all online schools. Apply. Mind you, the first semester was still going. I think this was like in November. Like it wasn't even the end of the semester. So I'm over here, you know, trying to, apply for all these online schools. And she got accepted to a few, but the one that really I felt was a good match for her was California Connections Academy. And let me tell you, they were a godsend. They had the 504 plan as well, but those schools are just, I guess because they don't have as many kids, she didn't really need to follow the 504 plan because they gave her so many resources and so much attention and tutoring, and she graduated high school. No problem. Granted, she didn't have the social aspect of high school, but because of her ADHD and because of her, how can I say this? Her pleasing ways, because she was so mature for her age, she's having it now in college. The whole social aspect of it, but they still had like bowling nights where everybody in the classes would go, and they've had proms, they had junior proms. So they had that. She still had those experiences. She just didn't have the everyday in front of your face friends. And so she graduated with okay grades. I mean, she's not one who likes to take medication, and they put her on a few different medications, and Adderall is what really helped her. But she doesn't like taking medication. So it's to this day, she's 20. It's still kind of a headache to try and make her take the medications, but it does help her. Like she even says, like her brain quiets down, she slows down. She's like, I know it helps because I can feel it. But she just doesn't, it makes her feel like it's not her because she's used to having, that's their norm.
Right.
But she does it. I mean, she graduated with her 2 associate's degrees, and now she's in her bachelor program to become a special ed teacher because she has ADHD. So that's the story of my chunk, and I owe it all to Jen. Jen's heartache, unfortunately, made it so that it was a lot easier for me. And then I was like, Liam seems spicy. And then that's where Veronica comes in.
So I think Maura, and tell me if you agree, but I think now, given all of the stuff that we have experienced with our kids, I almost feel like, not that I try to look for it, but I almost feel like I'm always kind of pinpointing, oh, that person might be on the spectrum. Like
I do it all the time.
And it's nothing bad. Like I am not being critical by any means, but for me, like I have to say, kind of dating this dude right now, and I really feel a lot of times that he's a little spicy. And again, for me, it's better to know so that I can understand, oh, now this makes sense, right?
Yeah.
With so I just feel like, I mean, do you experience that where you're just like,
yes,
you may be a little bit on the spectrum?
Oh, now that I have all this knowledge, I mean, it's years. It's what?
Yeah.
It's easily been what?
Long time.
A little bit less than 10 years that I've been dealing with this with my daughter. And going back, I'm like, my little brother is definitely ADHD and autistic. My little brother, I don't know if you guys watch South Park. My brother's Eric Cartman. My little brother's Eric Cartman to the T.
Yeah.
And you could tell that kid, you're not out there, like they don't have that filter. They just blurt stuff out.
Right.
My little brother's like that. And now he's realizing it too. He's just like, dude, I'm like, you have major ADHD. Like he cannot sit still. He cannot sit still. This is the Marine. This is the, that's that brother. And he can't sit still. He has all of these weird, very progressive thoughts that no one thinks about. Like it's just him in his brain, and he loves researching. I'm like, yeah, you're definitely on the spectrum too. Like you have ADHD, but you're definitely on the neurospiciness. And my mom is like, well, I just thought he was just like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's why a lot of us were not. And all of us were in that gifted program. I think it's called AVID now.
Well, it's
And
all different things in different schools.
okay,
Some are
so
HK, some are Avid.
I was in the gifted program when I was little. And again, remember I told you,
Yeah.
my mom's issue with me was also that I wouldn't shut the hell up. That was the biggest problem. Very smart, always had all these straight A's, but I would be bored because I guess I was more advanced in certain things.
Yeah.
Like I know, for example, like I love science, I love things like that. I hate math. When it comes to math, I'm dunce. I hate it. Although I did pass my statistics class with a B. But my brothers were also in the gate, I guess, in where they live now. It's called the gate program. They were also, and my older brother for sure has OCD tendencies. Like he's so OCD, like even worse than you, Jen. Like he's just like, he's got to touch stuff, you know. It's like my mom has spicy kids. I think I'm the least spicy, but I'm very I'm also spicy.
Yeah.
But yes, like I talked to my fiance and his little things, and I'm like, oh. At first, I blamed it on him just being a Leo. I'm like, he's got some spicy tendencies in there. Yeah. But yes, I do the exact same thing. I like diagnose people. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you definitely got ADHD. No, they have OCD. No, you're on the spectrum.
Right.
There's something
Right.
in there. Oh, see, he's looking at me like, oh,
He's probably flipping you off too, right?
I don't care. He is on the spectrum.
Don't talk about him.
Oh,
Especially in
God
front of him.
forbid.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, mine was just piggybacked onto you two guys, but when he was like in first grade, I think the teacher had nothing but great things to say about him. He had our first son in his class at first grade, and he loved him so much. But he was like, he takes us off topic and he goes into whale and mating calls and how viruses come into your body and make you feel like death. And and that was the first one. So he said, I suggest that you take him over to the school psychologist and get him tested for to see if he's gifted. Because I think that he's just getting bored in this class. He just knows way too much. He says, I had no idea that he had already been through addition and subtractions and that he is already doing fractions. He's doing teaspoons, quarter teaspoons. He says, we're not talking about that in first grade. And so he was the first one, and so he had a great experience with him because, of course, he was a mature little 5-year-old, 6-year-old first grader, and he immediately got put into the H gate because he scored really high. And at that point, you had a choice whether or not you wanted to put your kid into a class like that. But with him, I was told you don't really have a choice. Like he needs this, so he did. He got put into a class with second, third, and fourth graders. And by the time he finished, he was able to stay on till the fifth grade. But he was like, he's on the other side. He's just what they label as like the 1%er genius person. And I think it's your microphone that's making that. No?
It's him. He's
Sounds
taking
like
the
a
trash out.
Oh,
Say it sounds
okay.
He's
like
taking the trash. It's him. But that's what I'm trying to mute on this side, but I have no access to mute on this side.
Okay.
Okay, he's gone.
So, so that was like the only extent that we like experienced with like special education in a way on like on the other side. And then we had the little one, and when the little one came into this teacher's class, he loved him. He was like, he's a great kid. He's smart. He's just a little immature, I think. And like I heard some teachers saying that he's just a little bit like not fully grown, and maybe he wasn't ready for the first grade. And of course he's always been the youngest in his class. He's still kind of like the baby in this group of friends. But I raised the question, like, do you think he's ADD or ADHD? Because like the bonus child that I had is definitely ADHD, and for some reason I just thought that I didn't like take him into the doctor. He didn't get diagnosed. His own parent wouldn't like bother because they never had the time. But I just figured I'll just treat him. I just kind of read about it and kind of figured that I had to learn how to treat him. He had to teach me how to parent him, and that's what I did. So when Liam came along, he acted a lot like the one that's not mine, the bonus kid. So I was like, okay, and I asked him. The teacher said, no, I don't think so. He's like, I have ADHD kids. He goes, let me tell you, that's not it. And I just said, well, isn't ADHD kind of different for every person? Like, it's not an actual like set behavior. It's a sum of behaviors, and they could be different, they could be the same. And he says, well, you can test them, but I don't think so. And so by the time we got to like the third grade, I think that's when Tamara was telling me that she was getting chunk diagnosed on medicine and stuff. So I was like thinking about it and just not wanting to like deal with it, I guess. So I let it go until he was like in the seventh grade. And he always had problems in the seventh grade, and they kind of like just got worse a little at a time. So I said, Liam, how do you feel about going to the doctor and just seeing if you have ADHD? Because if you have ADHD, then that might mean that you have to address things differently within like how you see things. And maybe we have to change things at school too. And he said, okay. So we went, and he said, well, what if they want to give me medicine? And I said, you know what? I'm not going to force you to take it. It's up to you. I can deal with you just the way you are. But if you feel like you need help and you want to commit to this sort of like education, this baseline education, this black and white education, that, I'll support that. And the first child development practitioner that we went to, she was a nightmare. She was a little Asian gal, and she says, if you're going to succeed in life, you need to take this medicine. Do you want your parent over here to just have to fight through the school system without you having any medicine? Like she dressed him down so hard, and
She must have been from East LA.
oh my God, I don't know where the fuck she was from, but she needed to go back to school because she made him so mad, and she made me so mad, and I was like, Liam, maybe you should try. Like, I was starting to bend, and he was just like, no, Mom, you said that I didn't have to, and I don't want, and I was like, okay, fine. I just told her, you know what? Set a prescription for me. If he's ever ready or thinking about it, I'll fill it. I said, but for now, we'll leave it like that. And then she scolds him after that. And I said, excuse me. I said, don't talk to him like that. This is what we agreed on between him and I. This is a parent and child conversation. This is not a up to you kind of decision. These are your recommendations, and I will take them as he sees fit. Mm-hmm. I said, I know he's a child, and I'm not trying to raise him the way that I feel I should raise him. I said, because at this point, I said, these personalities need to be understood more than they need to be muted. Just kind of like packed up her shit and was like, it's up to you. He's gonna fail in life. And I was like,
Wow.
don't.
You're fired.
Yeah, so we never went back. They gave us a prescription, but I never filled it. We never went back. Months later, after talking to Tamara, we were like discussing who saw me, and she's like, no, I don't even know who that is. Take her to so-and-so. And so I took her to somebody that they had been seeing, somebody who themselves, I think, had ADHD and had twins.
Brenda.
Yeah, and had twins who had ADHD. So she not only dealt with it herself within herself, but she had two twins with the same thing. And so she basically was like, okay, Liam, let's talk about. And so she like explored the avenues, the way that things can go for him, and what he needs to do if he's not going to take medicine. Like, she just basically said, if you're not going to take medicine, that's fine. You just need to be a little more proactive about the things that you do and how you do them and the way that you think. It's just the processing is what is going to change for you. Like, you have to take that into consideration. And after a few minutes of him thinking, listening to her and the way she was presenting it, he decided he would try some Adderall. He would try some Concerta. I think he tried almost every pill on that chart. He tried it
Vyvanse.
For like a semester, everything. And he would lose his appetite. He couldn't sleep. And every time he came off it, he just seemed more miserable than the time before. Like, I could see his mood shifting.
It's the personality. It changes from what we're used to. Yeah.
And he didn't like it. He came off of it so hard that he said he would just be raging. He's like, because you know how when you get mad and you immediately get mad, but then it kind of goes away. He says, for me, it was like you were adding it to the pile, and I wasn't able to express it or release it until I was off the medicine. So everything that had piled on when the medicine was leaving was like raging within me. He's like, I was depressed and I was getting to the point where I thought maybe I'll just, myself or whatever. And I was like, oh God. It's like, is that with every medicine? Is that how you feel? And he's like, pretty much. And I said, okay, you know what? We'll just forget it. It's not going to work for you. It's not going to work for you. It's fine. We have to find other ways. But what I learned with him was that he's not going to be the kind of kid to conform to social norms. He's not going to go with the flow. He does not have a problem making friends. He's like the biggest fucking charmer in the world. He can charm anybody. I'm telling you. We go to the store. He's a chef now, okay? We go to the store and he sees the people next to me and they're buying like these beautiful looking steaks and he's like, that's a nice steak. You know what you should try? And he starts giving people recipes. And I'm like, dude, like you don't even know these people, but they're like, oh, hey, thanks. So do you? Is this is what you do for a living? And he's like, yeah. It's like, I do, da, da, da. And they're like, oh, awesome.
That social aspect for him, I feel, is not common for ADHDers because they tend to be very introverted, very
and he
socially awkward. Yeah.
He likes being alone, especially the days that are difficult for him. Like if we have been discussing serious things and we're like trying to tell him, you got to do yada, yada, yada. Don't forget and don't do this and do that and don't do this and don't do that. And that's when he like takes the car and goes for a drive or sits in the car by himself and does whatever. Just, he loves being alone. He loves not having any like added noise or pressure to himself. So he takes himself out of the equation when it comes to things like that. So he knows what he has to do for himself and he'll advocate. Like he was in Catholic classes for to be baptized, and the first Catholic teacher that he explained things to, because he was calling Liam out a lot, and he's just like, and he's talking to Liam, and Liam like starts to just blank him out, and then the teacher will ask him, so what did I just say about da da da? And Liam's like, sir, I have ADHD. And even when I'm looking at you, at some point, if you talk too much, I'm just going to not listen. I'm going to forget everything you said. It's because I have ADHD. And this he's a moron, actually. You don't need any kind of higher education to teach Catholicism. So he just basically told him, that's a made up thing. Like there's no such thing as ADHD. Who told you you have ADHD? And he's like, well, my mom believes I have ADHD. The doctor that saw me and diagnosed me with ADHD, like I have this 504 plan at school because like I can't function in a normal setting. These are normal settings. I am not a normal person. And when I heard Liam tell me that this instructor told him that there's no such thing as ADHD, I pulled him out. I lost like $300 just for that entire year, but I was like, I don't care. You're not going to talk to him like that. Like, who are you, Mm-hmm. So as he got older, he just tried on and off to get on the medicine, but he just decided no. And then homeschooling for us, because he's so social, was not an option, because that would just make him more depressed or more bitter and more angry, because he did not like total isolation. He wants, when he gets isolation, it's because he's doing it to himself, because he knows he needs it. He needs to reset, and he'll take himself out. But when it comes to every day, he thrives in social situations. So there were a few times where he was doing really great in school because he was with the right people. So for him, it's like it depends on who he goes with, what kind of person he's hanging out with, if he's going to do good or not. So he was aware of that too. And he would say like, he's like, I end up going with the flow. He's like, I get that. So I know that I shouldn't be in they're going to screw me up. So I'm just going to stay away from that. So he'll go into like the better option for him, the studious kids, the smart kids. And he's also very, very smart, but he does not conform to social norms. And I ask him, how do you feel? Do you feel bad about being ADHD? Do you feel bad that you cannot be like a normal, regular Joe? And he says, oh, no. He always says, my ADHD is my superpower, Mom. I am Superman. I can do a million things at once and still tell you what the fuck. He's like, I can still I can still come up with the best jokes. I can still be a smart mouth and still be right. He's like, I don't feel bad.
See, I'm so
So
glad. I'm so glad that he's like that because my daughter craves to have that social, but it just doesn't work out for her. Like she wants to be social and have a million friends, but yeah, she doesn't because she's awkward. Because she wants, it's not, she doesn't, my oldest is the introvert. She doesn't want to be, she has her little circle of friends and that's it. She doesn't need any more. She's good being by herself all the time. Where as my youngest, she loves to be out on the streets. I'm like, if it was up to her, she'd always be out in the streets with friends. Right now, she is in a sorority at the university. She got into a sorority, and she's liking that. But I also, stepping back and going back to what Jennifer was told that they grow out of it, I do agree with that partly because I do feel like she's a lot more mature than she was a year or two ago. Like she's grown in leaps and bounds. I still don't 100% trust her to make the correct 20-year-old decisions. But she's grown. So I think that now that she's growing and she's understanding and she's maturing, I think that's what's allowing her to hold on to some of the friends she has right now. But it's not as easy as Liam, where she's always been just the awkward.
it comes in different packages.
Yeah.
When Liam's assessment, they started doing it. He only got assessed once, but they gave him a questionnaire and you have to answer yes to if you're like lacking in attention or I don't know, I forget the questions, but there's like a ton of questions. And
It's
so
like
if you answer like
question.
yeah,
right?
if you and if you answered a certain amount, yes, then of course, obviously. And Liam gave it to me, and he just looked at me like with the saddest eyes and said, "Mom, I think I have everything on this page."
Oh.
just the first page, and I was like, "Well, keep reading. Maybe there's more." And yeah, he kept reading, and he's just like, you know what, most of this stuff is me. He's just like, not in the sense that it's like always a problem. He's like, but I can see a lot of these things in myself. And he's just like, so that means I have it, right? And I said, well, I guess. I said, let's see what the doctor says. And yeah, she came and she's like, okay, so he has ADHD. He's got this and that. And yeah, he understood from that point on, you know, but he also had to grow into embracing it as a gift, because if you don't, and he said it himself. He's like, if I don't embrace it like that, Mom, he's like, then I'm
gonna
a
sneeze.
failure. Bless you.
Ah, you took it away.
I like that he has so much self-awareness of that, and also that he embraces it as a gift, because I think that, you know, part of my struggle, at least with my kid's father, was that he almost made it seem like it was like a bad thing, and it was like almost like a crutch, like a handicap for her. And so then in her mind, she's like, oh, well, I can't do that because of this. It's like, no, you just have to do it differently. You got to learn how to just do it differently.
Figure it out.
Right? Yeah. So, you know, talking about the social aspect also, like she never was able to keep friends. Like she could make friends, but just never able to sustain those relationships. And it was, you know, that was a struggle. And I used to always be so like heartbroken for her. I mean, I remember times that she was in Girl Scouts, you know, so she's like in brownies, and they're like, what, 8, 9, 10 years old. And the kids would not want to have anything to do with her. And so, you know, I would always insert myself into volunteering and things like that, just because I wanted to be present and to, in my mind, help her, you know, to number one, like encourage her, like, it's okay, you know, you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. Like, well, let's just do this, or, you know, why don't you go do that kind of thing. But I used to always be so upset too with other parents. Like, you know, why don't you educate yourself, first of all, that my kid is different. It doesn't mean that she can't be likable or that she's not a good person. She's just different. And I feel, you know, now that the same thing, like I just wish that there were more parents that would just really be open to educating themselves that not every kiddo is the same, and that doesn't mean that they're bad people, you know? Like, yeah, it just, their brains are just they're just
There's just
wired
so
differently.
much stigma around it. I think recently in recent years, I want to say 4 or 5 years maybe, there has been less stigma, there has been more acceptance, there has been more trying to understand what it means and knowing that ADHD doesn't look the same in every single person. Because obviously we're talking about three human beings, and I know Liam will sit there and look at a person and be like, that guy right there, that's ADHD mom, look, check it out. He'll do. And even right now when we talk about his older brother being like gifted and smart, and he's truly intelligent, but
Very smart.
Liam even says, Mom, I think Ben has a touch of ADD, like, because he will do this and he will do that, and I'm just like, I never noticed it, I thought it was just a quirk of being smart. And he's just like, well, he's like, nothing says that you cannot be smart or intelligent to the degree that he is, but also you can also have those traits and not even realize it. He goes, because Ben's traits aren't obvious. He goes, I think, but because I know that I have it and I know what it looks like on other people, sometimes I can pick up like details. And it's true. He's really good at picking up details. He'll watch. He watched one guy on a 5-minute video solve a Rubik's cube. He turns that off. He picks up his own Rubik's cube and does it exactly like the way the guy did it. He's like, look, Mom, I solved it just like they showed on YouTube. And I watched the video and I'm like trying to figure out if anybody could do that. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, I can't do it. I don't even know what the fuck I just saw, because the video went by fast. And even when I slowed it down and I asked him, did you slow this video down so you could see like every turn? And he goes, no, I just sat and watched it. And he even when things just fly by, he can remember things.
Yeah,
He picks
their
up details.
brain is
He's
wired so differently.
yeah,
On
they're
another level,
very
like genius.
observant. Yeah, and even if he's tested today, he wouldn't be told that he's a genius, because the testing was made for actually genius testing. I found out a long time ago that it was put together to decide who wasn't smart. You know what I mean? It was to see if you had a handicap, if you were developmentally delayed, if you were, But no, it turns out that test will actually test to see if you are like genius level, But again, these kids don't conform to social norms. And I think that society now has to figure out how to teach kids like this, how to address them, how to encourage them, and how to get to where you can meet them in the middle so they can love to learn. Because Liam loves to learn. He loves to learn. He'll be on YouTube. He doesn't watch TV like I do. I watch junk TV. Like, I'll watch only Murders in the Building. I'll watch other crime shit. Snapped. I like to.
Oh, I love that
Nothing
show.
but garbage TV, according to him. And he gets on TV and he'll like watch videos on World War One and why World War Two happened, and he'll
That's Chris
and he'll watch
on YouTube
videos
all day.
on nature and why things happen the way they do. And I mean, he's very, very smart. He will absorb things like immediately, but it has to be the way that he digests them. And so if he's going to digest them watching videos, then, I'm just like, okay. Because when he graduated high school, let me tell you, it was a miracle that he even did. Like, his GPA was in the trash. But at that point, we knew that he wasn't going to pursue a college education, because he's not like that. He's like, I want to be a chef. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, well, go for it. I mean, the only thing that stuck to him in school that he loved to do was band. And he still plays the tuba. He even goes to his old high school to tutor and mentor, the tuba players that are there now. So, and he's really good at it too. I mean, he tried out for PYSO, and he had
Explain
no idea.
what is that?
So PYSO is Pasadena Youth Symphony Orchestra. And kids from all over California come to try out, because these are like the best of the best high school musicians. And you get picked out of like hundreds. Tuba players, there aren't that many, but there was still like at least 60 or 70 tuba players that tried out. And they only needed 2. So for Liam to get in, he had to be really good. He went in, he had no idea what to expect. He was sitting behind a curtain. He couldn't even see the people that were judging him. They just said, "You've got your music sheet, play what you see the way that you think it should sound." So he had 2 pieces that he played, and they said, "Thank you, nothing else." And he came back so nervous saying, "Mom, I don't know. I think I blew it because I did this and I did that and da-da-da." And I said, "Well, I guess we'll just find out when they send out those emails in a couple of weeks." And he says, yeah, but it's okay if I didn't. He's like, "I know that I probably need more practice. I'm not that great." A week later, he calls me, "Mom, they got me. They want me there." He was so excited. Again, I come back to grading in school. Like I don't take much stock into the school system and how they grade and how they do things, only because I've seen both sides of the spectrum. And even with the oldest one, no matter how smart he is, how independent he is, he also still needed help. Because when you're on either side of the spectrum, I think that you should also get help, even if you're like on the genius side. Because when you're that smart, you also need guidance so that you don't like bite too much off the apple. You know what I mean? Like sometimes when you are that smart and you're told that smart, then you expect a lot out of yourself and you put a lot on your plate. And so that's basically my 2 like different sides of the aisle. I did not have a normal child by any means.
Yeah.
You just had a differently wired child. I don't know. I struggle honestly with that word normal. I get it, but
so do
at
I.
the same time, I'm like, what is really?
It's so-
how do we really define that, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's the social norms. It's what society has deemed to be normal.
yeah.
I think it is what it is. But
It's a very relative term. I would always say that. Even before I had kids, I would be like, "Well, what is normal? Like, what is acceptable? You know, like."
it's what society's deemed
Nobody
that is
knows.
acceptable.
It's only because one person said that this is the way it is. This is what you're gonna do. Like I'm not the biggest person on questioning authority because usually I'll just go with it. But like to myself in my own life, like I wouldn't impose any like social norms on me or the people around me because I don't like to judge. I judge about other stuff that's like obviously bad, but when it comes to the way people run their lives, it's like that's just the way it works for you. I mean,
You
what
failed
are you gonna
Mexican.
do? I don't. Yeah, I don't care. I go against my Mexican culture a lot too with the things that I was taught, obviously.
Yeah.
Because
They're toxic.
there's machistas Mexicanos, you know, you're not gonna go with it. And I mean, I quietly fight against things like that because I don't accept them. And Liam is that kind of guy who doesn't, and he fights loudly for his opinion to be heard. So he's not shy, but he also isn't afraid to make people mad, which is kind of scary.
You know, I'm wondering when you brought up your genius child and then your other genius child, I wonder if that's the first the first child syndrome, because my oldest reminds me a lot of Ben. Extremely smart. You know, she fights a lot with Ben because I've put Ben on a pedestal according to her because I'm a Mexican sexist mom who prefers boys. I'm not. It's just, you know, he's older. He's 2 years older than her. So it's the first baby we knew of. So everything,
It's
Ben
the
always
baby
did
that
everything
made her
first.
want to have a baby.
Yeah, he was like this perfect baby, this fat, chunky, perfect baby.
He was like what, 8 months old when you met him? 9 months old when you met him? He was so big.
He was
and
a
fat.
baby. So Kirsten, my Kiki, she knows the story of Ben. So she's got this rivalry with Ben because Ben's so smart. Ben was such a good baby. Ben got this award. Ben got that award, and she has to top it. And they're equally smart. I mean, in their different, you know, lanes.
their categories, yeah.
Yeah, in their categories, but they're equally smart. But then when you say, that he needs to, you said something about he should have probably gotten help as well, because the genius level that he possibly is at, he needs to kind of learn how to navigate that and not necessarily always be this perfect kid. Whereas my perfect child, about 2 years ago, was diagnosed. She went to therapy because, she's always suffered with anxiety and things like that. And I was like, girl, you need help. And I can't help you with it because I myself probably need therapy, but I don't necessarily believe in it because I'm Mexican traumatized. So when it comes to that, I'm not a good mom. And they know it. I've said it. I'm not a good mom in validating their emotions because I don't have any. I know that sucks to say, but I don't. I don't understand why you're crying. Typical Mexican mentality. Did someone die? Why are you crying? Nothing is worth you. Why are you depressed? You're so depressed. Go clean the bathroom. Mental mentality. It's the Mexican mentality that was ingrained in me. I feel I don't have those feelings. And my daughter, my oldest, has all of them plus everyone else's feelings. I don't know how to help her with that. So I'm like, go to therapy, find your help. I will pay for it. I'm all gung-ho for you to do it because unfortunately, as a mom, I'm failing at helping you with this. She went to therapy. They did a bunch of testing on her. And my oldest is autistic, extremely highly functioning autistic, but she is autistic. So it's in my DNA. Their dad, my children's dad, had ADHD as a child. I think he was on Ritalin and Wellbutrin. Back in the 80s when we were kids, that's when it was first being recognized, I guess.
Treated.
He's also Caucasian, so maybe he had better physicians because us Mexicans, it was just the kid was bad and you just hit him. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Their dad's Caucasian. Maybe he had better health care. I don't know. I'm not trying to be racist about it, guys, but it is what it is. This is what it was. Back in the 80s, if a kid showed any kind of ADHD, anything, he or she is just a badass kid. Yes or no?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did Jen freeze? Jen's frozen to me.
You're both frozen to me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Jen's frozen.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
With a funny expression.
You look disgusted, Jennifer.
I know,
do.
I see it, huh?
So anyway,
Funny.
my oldest is autistic, and now we know this. I mean, I'm still horrible at validating her emotions, but there you go.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. But in going back to all of this neurospiciness looks so different in everybody. I think my youngest, my Sophia and Jay have similar types of ADHD, and I think that's why they got along. But if you guys think about it, excluding Liam because he's obviously just a different type socially, ADHDer, but when it came to Jay and Sophia, they kind of bonded because they understood each other's quirks. I mean, they also fought like sisters too, but that, whatever. I don't care. I never got involved in that. But I felt like with kids that are more like them, there's not an issue socially.
Because
they
all understand each other. Yeah.
My daughters love Liam. They're like, they can sit there and talk smack with Liam all day long. So even though he's more of a social butterfly than, I think my youngest probably wants to be like Liam in that aspect, the whole social butterfly thing. And she's getting to it slowly. Whereas my oldest, she's very content with her little friend group. She doesn't need to branch out.
She likes to have it centralized.
She's okay to just be in her little bubble.
Yeah.
She doesn't need a lot of people. Again, she has anxiety disorder. She's autistic, extremely high functioning. She's just on the spectrum. They've never been able to pinpoint, Asperger's or any, how there's always sub categories on this. Yeah, she doesn't fall into just any particular one. She's just has these quirks, and her psychiatrist, I don't remember which one diagnosed her. It's like 2 years.
Psychologist probably.
Yeah.
Psychiatrists are usually the meds.
Okay,
Ones that
no.
manage meds. Mm-hmm.
Then it must have been a psychologist. Yeah. But just going back to what you guys had said, like it just looks so different with every one. And I actually had a question for you, Jen. When you said that you wanted for the parents to understand that kids are different, did you feel that the parents allowed their children to make your child like the outcast? Or like what did you mean? Okay, so
Yeah.
you
Oh,
feel it was
yeah.
the parents as well. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
They
I
were
mean,
not
I even felt uncomfortable, because I'm
oh,
like, okay, like I just felt like these are children and let's try to, help them to see that, like embrace
it's
the
okay.
indifferences, right? And that it's okay. But no, they would almost like support that, yeah, that kid is a
She's
little,
weird. She's
yeah,
weird.
she's,
Stay
yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the sad thing
Yep.
is kids do mirror their parents'
They
behavior.
Totally.
do.
That's why we have all these races.
So,
And anyway, a
yeah.
whole other topic, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
Anyway, well, I think personally, it's always been a thing. I could see other people like growing up when I was a kid, thinking, "Oh, they're kind of weird." But now that I'm older and I kind of see like the personalities of ADHD, or even when you have autism in a way, it's like, oh, maybe that person had that, And
We must have all taken Tylenol during our
yeah,
pregnancy.
we all, our
According,
moms did. We can blame our moms.
yeah. Even though I didn't
Take-
take I didn't take anything when I was pregnant, but okay. But my two spicy kids, something had Tylenol in it, because
Yeah.
anyway, I just had to bring that up just because I'm so upset at that. But anyway, that's another topic.
Yeah. But I think for the most part, that's just genetics.
Oh, 100%. Like I
And
said
it
in,
shows up different in a different person. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as your mom or dad have it.
Yeah.
It's just included in the personality package. of a
yeah,
newborn.
I think I've said this before in other podcasts that my dad's side has a lot of like, I'm not saying that this is a mental issue, but there are issues on my dad's side. So I'm definitely a carrier of those genes, and I know their dad for sure because he was treated for it,
Yeah.
as a child. So my kids were just gonna be just good thing I only had two. Because I don't want their life to be harder than it already is. Although I think one of you did comment that things are just now so widely known that it's become more acceptable. Like, oh, okay, they're neurospicy. But again, I feel like neurospicy kids or adults, our kids are all adults now, tend to gravitate to neurospicy. All of Kirsten's friends are neurospicy some way or another, and I feel it. I could feel it, like the vibration. I'm like, yeah, all of you guys all belong together. All of you, yeah, I see why you guys are chilling. Whereas like my Sophia's friends, they're not. Like you could tell they're society normal. Like she really wants to be part of that group. Whereas Kirsten thrives with her neurospicy peeps. That's what she likes to go after. That's who she likes to hang with.
Yeah.
Sophia, she wants that normal. But we'll figure it out.
Everyone has their own personality.
Yeah, we'll figure it
And
out.
it doesn't matter whether or not you're neurospicy or not. People have quirks. People have things. We just have to learn how to deal with and accept each other for what we are.
Yep.
Right?
Well, okay. There's some people I don't accept, but that's another podcast.
Anyway, we'll leave it right here. If anybody out there would like to share their neurospicy stories, or if they themselves have struggled,
Yes.
and if you want to share their experience with teachers or parents or whatever, all is welcome. Jen will share with us the details of her resources, and I will link them in our bio. Also, send us your stories on laschiquirucas@gmail.com. Thank you for joining us. We
Thank
will see you guys
you.
next time. Bye.
Bye.